You're watching TAG TV.
Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Lepakshi Khurana. Here are the top stories we're tracking for you on Friday, the 25th of January. India-South Africa pledged to deepen strategic cooperation. Pakistani court declares Pashtun model's murder as extrajudicial killing. An Afghan president says problem with Pakistan is its inaction against terrorism. And now for all the details. India and South Africa on Friday sealed a 3-year strategic program to further boost cooperation in a number of key areas after talks between Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and South African President Cyril Ramaphosa in New Delhi. The South African leader will be the chief guest during the celebrations of India's 70th Republic Day on Saturday in the national capital.
South African President Cyril Ramaphosa met Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi on Friday to boost bilateral ties between India and South Africa. During delegation-level talks, both the leaders discussed increasing cooperation in various sectors, including defence and security, trade and investment, skill development and education. The two leaders later announced signing of a 3-year strategic program of cooperation aimed at deepening the bilateral engagement between India and South Africa. The South African president said that considerable scope exists for both the nations to grow, extend and deepen the ties at a number of levels, but more particularly at the economic level.
We concluded this morning a 3-year strategic program of cooperation aimed at deepening the bilateral engagement between India and South Africa and ensuring that a result-oriented partnership benefits the peoples of both countries. We have instructed our ministers and officials to commence immediate implementation of this program that we have concluded in order to take our bilateral level to a higher level.
Earlier in the day, the South African president also met his Indian counterpart Ramnath Kovind and was accorded a ceremonial guard of honour at the Presidential Palace in New Delhi. He is on a 2-day visit to India and will be the chief guest during the celebrations of India's 70th Republic Day on Saturday in the national capital.
Indian Space Research Organisation on Thursday night launched 2 satellites, CalamSat V2 and Microsat R, from the country's southern spaceport of Sriharikota. The satellites were injected into their intended orbits by Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle.
Indian Space Research Organisation or ISRO on Thursday night launched 2 satellites, CalamSat V2 and Microsat R, from Satish Dhawan Space Centre in southern spaceport of Sriharikota. The communication satellite CalamSat is the lightest satellite to be ever built in the world and has been designed by India's southern Chennai-based space education firm SpaceKids. The imaging satellite Microsat R was also injected into its intended orbit by ISRO's reliable Indian Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle just about 13 minutes 26 seconds after liftoff.
ISRO is ready to extend help for all the students belongs to India for conducting their science experiment. I request the students of India, please bring your science experiment. And you please plug in PS4. We will launch. You don't worry. You do the science experiment. You do the science research. You make India science-oriented.
The opportunity that ISRO is open to us, I think, is phenomenal because you put in so much of money to build a rocket, and to give one segment for the student research is amazing. And I should say hats off to Dr. Shivan and to the entire crew of ISRO who've actually hand-holded us and, who've taken us through this journey of building this satellite.
The Indian Space Agency is also working on launching its first manned space mission by 2022 that aims to send a 3-member crew to space for 5 to 7 days in a craft that will be placed in a low Earth orbit of 300 to 400 kilometers.
In news from Pakistan, an anti-terrorism court in Pakistan on Thursday dismissed terrorism charges against aspiring Pashtun model Naqibullah Mahsood and 3 others in light of a report which stated their murder as extrajudicial killings. The killings had initiated a mass civil rights movement last year demanding security and protection for ethnic Pashtuns.
An anti-terrorism court in Pakistan on Thursday dismissed cases of terrorism against Pashtun youth, Naqibullah Mahsood and 3 others in light of the report submitted by the committee probing their killings. Naqibullah Mahsood, an aspiring model, was among 4 people killed in a fake police encounter in Karachi in January 2018. The inquiry committee termed their murder as extrajudicial killings and said, in light of the evidence and crime scene, the encounter was fake and fabricated. Former Senior Superintendent of Police Rao Anwar and 11 of his subordinates are accused of being involved in the killings and are facing trial. The killings had initiated the Pashtun Tahaffuz movement, a civil rights movement demanding security and protection for ethnic Pashtuns. Pashtuns have long blamed that they have been targets of military operations, internal displacement, ethnic stereotyping and abductions by the Pakistani security forces. They allege that Pakistani army functions along with militant groups in federally administered tribal areas and indiscriminately uses brute force against innocent Pashtuns.
In news from Afghanistan, Afghan President Ashraf Ghani on Thursday lashed out at Pakistan for its inaction in addressing the common issue of terrorism. While speaking at the World Economic Forum in Davos, he said that peace in Afghanistan will be the greatest asset for Pakistan's prosperity, but Islamabad needs to change its attitude first.
Afghanistan's President Ashraf Ghani on Thursday said that peace in Afghanistan will be the greatest asset for Pakistan's prosperity in terms of energy if Islamabad changes its attitude and addresses the common issue of terrorism. While speaking at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Ghani lashed out at Pakistan for supporting terror activities in Afghanistan and for failing to deliver on its promises.
Let us not also forget.
The Afghan president said that Pakistan would continue to remain a poor country if it continues in the current form, and that the Pakistani leadership needs to understand that their conduct has alienated them.
An excellent analysis has been done by the World Bank. If they continue the current course, they will be a very poor country. But if they change and engage in regional cooperative and fundamental economic and social and political reform, they could be a middle-income country. The choice is theirs.
Meanwhile, speaking on the plans of a withdrawal of US forces from Afghanistan, Ghani said there will not be an imminent withdrawal of US troops from the country. His remarks came as reports surfaced that the US and the Taliban had reportedly inched closer towards sealing an agreement on key issues, including a timetable for the withdrawal of US forces from Afghanistan and a ceasefire.
More on news from Afghanistan. Afghanistan's Chief Executive Abdullah's office has expressed a strong disapproval on the dismissal of Second Deputy Mohammad Mohaqiq by the Presidential Palace. The move comes a week after Mohaqiq announced he will run as second Vice President on Mohammad Hanif Atmar's election ticket.
Afghanistan's Chief Executive Officer Abdullah's office reacted strongly to President Ashraf Ghani's decree on Thursday that ordered the dismissal of Abdullah's second deputy, Mohammad Mohaqiq. The CEO's office said It was a one-sided decision and against the provisions of the political agreement on which the National Unity Government or NUG was established. The move comes a week after Mohaqiq announced that he will be running as second vice president on former National Security Advisor Mohammad Hanif Atmar's election ticket in the July 20th presidential elections.
تصمیم اصل جناب استاد محمد محقق معاون دوم ریاست اجراییه خلاف روحیه حکومت وحدت ملی و خلاف روحیه توافقنامه سیاسی حکومت وحدت ملی است که حکومت وحدت ملی تا انتخابات آینده و ایجاد حکومت مشروع دوام میکنه.
Based on the law, except the president and his deputies, anyone who runs for election should step down from his post. Legal experts say that the CEO holds 50% of the powers, like the president, and Abdullah has also made it clear that he will not step down from his post until elections. Mohaqiq's office meanwhile said that an official response to Ghani's move will be made soon.
A folk dance festival was organized on Thursday in Afghan capital Kabul, in which artists performed different traditional dances existing in the country. The festival was aimed at reviving the traditional dances that are at the verge of dying out.
A local dance festival was organized on Thursday in Afghan capital Kabul to revive the traditional dances of the country that are at the verge of dying out. The festival was organized by the Asia Culture House, in which artists presented different types of local dances, including Attan, Hazaragi and Sama dances that were traditionally performed on special occasions. The event was aimed at keeping the art alive, as the challenges that Afghans have faced over the past 30 years have eroded the popularity of these arts.
می‌خواستیم فرهنگ خود دوباره زنده کنیم چون این رقص‌ها از بین رفته فراموش شده در بین مردم دیگه چندان رواج نداره.
رقص‌های محلی افغانستان در واقع بخش از پروژه شناسایی رقص‌های فراموش‌شده افغانستان است که از یک سال بعد این کارش شروع شده بود.
The dancers said they practiced for the festival for 3 months and appreciated the efforts to provide them a platform to display their talent.
A Qawwali music competition was recently organized in India's northern Jammu and Kashmir, in which young artists hailing from far-off areas of the province displayed their talent. The event was aimed at reviving the age-old cultural activities of the province.
With an objective of providing a platform to the budding artists of rural and far-off areas to display their talent, a Qawwali competition was organized recently in India's northern Jammu and Kashmir province. The young artists hailing from different parts of the province presented their cultural performances before the audience in the famous Tagore Hall of Srinagar city. The event was aimed at reviving the age-old rich cultural activities including folk music, Sufiana and Qawwali, besides educating the youngsters about values and traditions attached to them.
बेसिकली हमारे कश्मीर में बहुत ज़्यादा टैलेंट है बहुत ज़्यादा और आज आपने देखा होगा बिल्कुल वो टैलेंट हमारे सामने है और द बेस्ट पार्ट ऑफ दिस सेशन वाज एंड दैट टैलेंट गॉट प्रमोटेड है
तो मकसद हमारा ये है कि हम न सिर्फ वो हम आज तक जो कल्चर का मतलब लिया गया था नाच गाना सिर्फ हम चाहते हैं कि उसका मतलब लोग बदल दें और कल्चर का वसी मतलब जो है अक़दार जो हमारे हैं कदरें जो हमारे हैं वैल्यूज़ जो हमारे हैं उनको हम निखारना चाहते हैं उनको हम वापस लाना चाहते हैं और हम चाहते हैं कि ये प्रेयर कंपटीशन जो हुआ कव्वाली कंपटीशन जो हुआ नात कंपटीशन जो हुआ किरत कंपटीशन इससे हम अपने रूट्स की तरफ जाए हम अपने अक़दार को वापस लाएँ और हमारे बच्चे अच्छे शहरी बन जाए.
Qawwali is the most popular form of Sufi music and is traditionally sung in Sufi shrines. It is a form of devotional music that has gained popularity among the elders and the youngsters alike. It is poetry about divine love, sung with dramatic variations with the lead vocalist seconded by the tabla, harmonium and steady hand claps of the chorus.
Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude, the top stories once again. India-South Africa pledged to deepen strategic cooperation. Pakistani court declares Pashtun model's murder as extrajudicial killing. And Afghan president says problem with Pakistan is its inaction against terrorism. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time next week. Have a great weekend. Good night.